Welcome to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, where you can hear your favorite performers talk about how they got started, their careers, and everything in between. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, and on my main Broadway account at Broadway_Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I am so happy you're here. And today is the fourth episode in the I Guess Here Lies Love series. And I'm very excited because it's pretty much the most important part of the show, in my opinion. And it's the coolest DJ on Broadway. It is Moses Villarama.
Hey everybody.
Hi, Moses. So happy to have you here.
I'm
I
happy to
mean,
be here.
it's your Broadway debut.
Yeah.
You've been open for a couple weeks now, and so yeah, I'm so excited to talk about you, your journey, and just everything that's been going on lately because you've been very busy. Um, and so, for some background, Moses Villarama is an award winning Filipino American actor who has worked on stages and sets across the United States. He's making his Broadway debut as the DJ in Here Lies Love on Broadway. And most recently, he was in Cambodian Rock Band at the Signature Theatre, Berkeley Rep, the Alley, La Jolla Playhouse, and the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, which is a lot of places to go with just one
Yeah.
show, my gosh, where he was a company member for 5 years. And his off-Broadway credits include Chairs in a Long Table by my theater company, Fast Company by Ensemble Studio Theatre, and Sonic Life of a Giant Tortoise by the Play Company. And he has an MFA from the National Theatre Conservatory. So thank you so much, Moses, for being here. You've had such a long career doing like so many different things. I mean, you're doing
Mm,
theater everywhere. You're from LA. You've been,
mm.
just kind of working and doing so much. So happy to have you here. Nice to see you again.
Thanks. Good to see you too, Ashley.
Yeah, and to start off, I mean, I don't really know this just because we haven't gotten to chat yet, but like can you
Yeah,
talk about, your background, kind of where did you grow up, where did you go to school, and when did you
sure.
discover theater?
Oh, wow. So my background is pretty I traveled quite a bit because my dad was in the Navy.
Mhm.
I was born on Subic Bay in Olongapo, Philippines. So I was born in the Philippines, and then when I was 3, my dad was restationed to San Francisco.
Oh,
So I call the Bay Area home. We actually lived on Treasure Island, which was a military base, a Navy base, before it became civilian. And then after that, when I was 7, we were restationed to Guam. So I lived on Guam for about 10 years because my dad retired there. It wasn't until later in my life, because Guam doesn't really have a theater scene. It's such a small island. There's not really a lot of exposure to theater. You go to the movies, if anything. Um, and so I didn't discover acting and theater until I was about 18, 19, when I went to college at the University of San Francisco. I started doing plays. I always had an idea that I wanted to be a writer. So when I was in high school, I wanted to pursue journalism, was the first like dream job that I had. Um, and then I thought I should learn how to talk to actors if I want to write for them. Learn how they talk, learn how it goes, learn the ropes. And so I auditioned for a musical. Bye Bye Birdie was the first show that I ever did in my life when I was 18. I loved it. I loved the community, loved the process of creating a character. And I just kept doing it, just kept on doing it. And then it wasn't until I was around 20, 21 that a mentor who was new to the university um, recommended that I audition for grad programs and get proper training. And so I did that. Got into a great school. The National Theatre Conservatory is part of the Denver Center. And so immediately after undergrad, went straight to grad school for acting. So my primary focus has always been as an actor, and musical theater kind of came up here and there because I always played music throughout my life. I played the guitar and sang karaoke like a good Filipino kid. um, and yeah, so once in a while I would do a musical, but mainly I was a straight play theater, film, TV actor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, a unique journey. Like some people start when they're two, some people start when they're, about to go to college. And so there's
I
really
know.
no right way to really get into this. I mean, for me, I know
Yeah,
it was in high school. I like didn't do anything before this, but
yeah,
it's again a good reminder that like you can make your dreams come true, especially if you have a different journey than anyone else. And so,
yeah.
yeah, thank you for talking about that. I had no idea that you were born in the Philippines, and that you moved around so much. That is very, very fast, like just interesting about you as a person that, I would never know unless I asked. And so thank you
Yeah,
for sharing.
yeah,
Um,
of course.
and to talk about, your musical theater Broadway journey, like how did you get involved with Here Lies Love? Like what was your audition process like for
Oh
it?
gosh, the audition process was long. As you mentioned in the intro, I'd had worked at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for 5 years, and one of the shows that I did was Cambodian Rock Band. So I did say that I don't do a lot of musical theater. I do tend to gravitate towards plays that have music. So Cambodian Rock Band was probably one of the most, you know, well-known plays recently that is like that, where it's a play, but there's a rock band involved and the cast members make up that band. So I played the bass guitar and sang some of the lead vocals in that show. And so I was doing that show at OSF. We took it to La Jolla, then Signature Theater. Then the pandemic came, but there was still interest in the show. And so about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we started the national co-production of the show, which started at the Alley Theater in Houston. Um, and it was there that I started hearing about, Here Lies Love, which I'd heard about. I knew about because it was a, Filipino show. And I'd actually seen it when I lived in New York back in 2014. And uh, I'd heard that it was coming back, and I thought, oh my God, it's been 10 years since they put that show back, since that show was around. And I was curious about it, because I'd saw it and I wasn't sure how I felt about it because there are a lot of, jarring moments in the show um, that really touch on kind of sensitive subjects with Filipino history, specifically Ninoy's assassination. You know, I'd grown up because I lived on Guam for a while, going to the Philippines every year. So a lot of my extended family is there. Uh, Pretty much most of my extended family is there, and so I would go visit them. And every time we'd go, we'd land at Ninoy Aquino Airport, and I'd always wondered about that and had you know, that journalist in me who just was curious about everything and why things were the way they were. Um, and so I knew a lot about that history, and so there are moments in the show that I wasn't sure about. And so when I heard that it was coming back to Broadway, uh, I thought, I'm interested. I'm curious about it. I'm curious about it. And especially with the fact that we had someone who I have admired for a long time, Jose Antonio Vargas, as a lead producer, just because of his advocacy and his activism for undocumented immigrants, and just him as a person, just such a role model for anybody who is Filipino and is interested in the world and journalism and being well spoken. Um, so all that to say, I knew from my castmate. So Gina Quintos was also in the production of Cambodian Rock Band for the Alley Theater and Berkeley Rep, and so I'd heard about it through her, and she said, my sister is part of the casting team, and so Gail. I knew about Gail, and so I put that in my agent's ear and said, "Hey, look, there might be this audition that's coming down, um, and just look out for it. I'm interested." And soon enough, around February, got an audition for it. Had to put a tape on, a self tape. A lot of actors do self tapes these days. If that's almost exclusively how it goes now. Um, and so I put my first tape together in February. Didn't hear for a month, and then I thought, oh, it's over. Usually after a week, you're like, yeah, that ship has sailed. And then a month goes by, I get a request for another tape, and I thought, okay, so they're interested, and they haven't cast this role yet for the DJ. Um, and so they gave me adjustments. I put my tape together. I was at Berkeley by that time, doing the second run of Cambodian Rock Band, uh, and so I was excited. Um, and then didn't hear for like a month,
Oh,
right? And I already knew that Gina was going to be in the show. I knew that they'd already cast a lot of people. Uh, and so I kind of let it go like you do, like just it's just the healthiest thing to do. Um, and then I hear from my agent like, "Hey, they want to see you again, but this time on Zoom." So I thought, oh God, okay, yeah. I was in LA by that time. It was April. It was Easter. It was the audition was on Easter Sunday.
oh
Um, right? Which was
yeah,
so strange. I'm like, Easter Sunday, what are you guys doing working on like, 9 p.m. on an Easter Sunday?
I know, yeah.
Uh,
That's very strange, but I mean,
yeah. So I was like, okay, you clearly haven't cast this role, and I knew rehearsals were starting May 1st. Um, and so I thought, they're still looking. They haven't found what they're looking for yet. And so met on Zoom with our associate director, Billy Bustamante, and our music director, Jay Navarro. Um, and then a couple days passed by, and I'm thinking, this if I don't get it then I probably just don't get it, right? I don't know if there's going to be another round, but what do I know? Uh, you never really know how these things go. They're all kind of individual, especially at a certain level. Um, and so a couple days passed by, and then I hear from my agent on a weekend, which is unusual, saying, "Hey, you got to go to New York by the 24th, I think was the callback date, April 24th." And I thought, oh, wow, okay, this is real. This is like, I think that they're seriously thinking about me. Um, and so I gather my stuff, just a quick trip to New York for 3 days, a backpack. I lived in New York for about 9 years before, so I was fairly comfortable going to New York. Um, so I went, got an Airbnb, really filled my day. And this is something that I like to do whenever I audition for anything, is just surround everything around the audition with like things that are fun. So I went to go see Life of Pi, saw old friends who I hadn't seen in a while, just like really filled my soul with positivity and good things. Um, it's always seemed to work out for me. And then I did it, pretty much flew back. I met with Alex and David Byrne, and uh, I knew that there were only two other people there aside from me auditioning. Um, and it was a really great experience. It was a really great audition experience to, you know, be there and show what I had, and the choices that I made for the role. And then I flew out the next day, went home. My wife was working in San Diego. She's an actor too. She's working at San Diego at the time, and so I flew to San Diego, um, landed at noon, and then around 1 o'clock, my agent called me with the offer.
oh my,
Uh, yeah, so
yeah.
that's kind of how it went. It
Oh,
was a
that
wild.
was a long one.
It was a long experience. I'm telling you, it was a long experience. But I feel like, if there are any actors listening, that an important thing to just keep your soul and just to nurture yourself, um is just to do your work, make your choices, and let it go. I feel like I'm still dealing with that, but I've gotten better, and I have like tools that I use to just let it go more quickly. Because if you just hold on to it and hold on to it and ruminate over it and wonder, whether it's going to happen or not, or like fret over it, and it's out of your hands by that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always, yeah, do things that make me happy outside of the audition. That it shouldn't be the most important thing that I'm doing that day. uh yeah, that's how
Yeah,
I think.
no, that is such, great advice to really anyone who is doing something, either important or just whether they be an actor or not. It's like, surround those things with like people you love,
Yeah,
things you love. I know sometimes for me it's like do something, go get ice cream or, do something completely different than,
totally.
than what you're focusing on. And because then maybe it'll take the weight off a little bit and allow you to just like relax. And so yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, I don't think I remembered that as much because, auditioning for college, that was kind of the same thing. It's like I just gotta like leave it,
Uh,
try to like throw it, give all I got, and then leave it alone.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's just a good reminder to like anybody to just like, relax a little bit,
Great.
try to, just be human through all of it instead of like so heightened and as if it's the most important thing that's ever gonna happen to you. I mean, yeah, it is, but it's also not.
Great.
At the
But
same time.
you're more than just that audition, you want to bring your whole self to every room that you walk into. And I think when you're in that frame of mind where you're like clenching because you want it so bad, then it doesn't really serve you. It doesn't allow you to relax and bring your best self.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, wow, that again, just thinking on that, how many months you had to wait for that. Because I know for some of the people I was talking to, it was like get the audition and then do like a bunch of callbacks or whatever in a row, and then like got the job in like February. But
I know.
so insane. But
Yeah.
obviously they were waiting for the right person, which is
Yeah.
important because
I was the last person they cast. Um, and then after I got the offer, I had to move to New York within 6 days.
oh my
So yeah, so I got the offer on the 25th, and then I had to be in New York for rehearsal.
God.
So I had to be in New York by the 30th
Oh, by the oh
because
my
rehearsal started May 1st. Yeah.
yeah, oh my gosh, thank God it all worked out and you just moved quickly. Which
Oh
again,
yeah, it
insane.
was great. I love that stuff. And thankfully, traveling so much throughout my life, I feel so prepared for any kind of adventure. I love it.
You get used to it after a while. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
we're doing this. Okay, gonna go do that. And yeah, because you are you're playing the DJ, you just kind of, you
Mhm.
have your little booth and then at the end, you get to sing God Draw Straight. And do you have like a favorite moment specifically in Here Lies Love, whether it's something that you're actually saying or if you're just watching or, at the end when you get to sing, like what is that moment for you that really makes every night so special for you?
Gosh, I feel like I have a couple favorite moments, I have to say. I think that so if you haven't seen the show, when you come, you're gonna have to dance, right? And there is nothing more exciting than leading 1,000 people through a line dance. I have to say, it's really cool. It's its own like adrenaline rush drug. That's pretty fun. And I will say that because it's because of its meaning, um, being able to bookend the end of the show and talking about democracy um, and what this was all for, why we took you on this journey. uh, I think is probably one of the cooler moments I get to be part of. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about it too the other day how in the original production I know and at the very beginning of your guys' run, at the end there was always that Here Lies Love reprise where everyone sings along to it and everyone is like having, it's fun and you just hear the song again. And then when I went for the first time, like right before you guys opened, I remember the curtain call ended and I was like, wait, are they not doing that? And then I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's over and it's time to go. But because I'd seen videos, I was expecting it at first, but then I thought about it and I was like, it's better that way that they didn't do that and they didn't have a big sing along because it ends it more so on you and on God Draws Straight, which is really the entire reason that the story's even being told in the first place. And so
Yeah.
taking the focus off, I guess, Imelda and off of all of that at the end, there's a curtain call and obviously that's all there, but definitely ending on God Draws Straight, in my opinion, is just like the most powerful way that you could have ended the show, storytelling wise. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that they did because seeing you just stand up there in that moment as the DJ who's, really just a person who's a part of the people power revolution. Um,
Mhm.
it's just like a powerful moment. And so
Yeah.
I think what is one of my favorite moments is when you're just standing there and the lights are all mostly up. You can see the mural in the back and uh,
Yeah.
everything is just like all coming at you, and you're like, wow, this is really what the show actually means, instead of all of the glamour and the disco and everything else that you've seen before. Not that that's not important and that's not fun, but
Yeah,
just like shifting the focus, back to you, and back to what who the people were and their stories and all of that. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's you know, it shows how easy it is for everybody to get, because you know, the majority of the show is a really fun dance party. It's a disco, right? A lot of it is. And I think that it's hard to describe. It's an experience, you know. Here Lies Love is an experience. You got to be in it to really understand emotionally in your body. You know, you really can't intellectualize it, I think, too much. You have to. It's a show that you have to experience, and I think a big thread that we've been tugging on is what does it mean to get caught up in this wave of, you know, an iconic person who is just so glamorous and, you know, at first seemingly good intentioned, and you know, and also like how how easy it is for each of us as humans to get wrapped up in our own kind of sense of grandioseness, or our sense of, you know, self-importance. um yeah, I think that that moment is so powerful. I can feel it in the air, you know, every time I get to say that speech, or every time I step up on that platform, it's palpable. When you have 1,000, 1,100 people, you know, just holding their breath, waiting for what's going to happen next.
Yeah, yeah. No, and like, I mean, the lyrics are things that real people said, and that song specifically too is just, you're hearing all of these different things, everyone's kind of reaction to what was going on in real life, and you're just hearing these words, and it, it's an emotional moment for everyone. And I want to talk about your character as the DJ, because at
Hmm?
first you're like, oh, this guy's super fun, he's making everyone dance, and you know, and really getting everyone hyped for this story. But once I left, and after I saw it again, and then I was like, wait, the DJ is kind of like, to me at least, he is like the narrator of the story. He's like the one probably putting, as if he's the one really telling it and showing
Hmm.
you what to view. Um, in that with Imelda Marcos's story and everything else, and trying to give you all of these facts and then at the end you realize that he is like the main storyteller. And that, again, like I was saying, how it all goes back to the DJ and like what he's saying, and being a part of the people power revolution as well. um and just like taking, again, like you were saying, how it's kind of, he guides you through this journey and he wants you to get swept up in it, so that at the end he can, it's that payoff of like, here, let's focus in on exactly what we're talking about. And I mean,
Yeah.
even at points it's like he is the one making you dance and is the one wanting you to, I guess, be it, because I've heard of people, talking about how the audience is like the Filipino people. You get seduced by them and you're like clapping for them even when you maybe
Yeah.
shouldn't be, or all of that. Like the DJ is trying to show you exactly what that character is. And so what was it like reading first? I mean, you'd seen it, but of learning the role, and what does it really mean to you to be portraying the DJ?
um in because there's, you know, there's not a really a book for the show, you know, like a lot of other musicals. Um, and it's really in the music that you get the story a lot of times, and projections and stuff like that. Like, you know, but there's like no book. Um, but I will say that in my own like research as an actor, I like, you know, anytime I tackle a role, I always just go into the rabbit hole of what can I find out about everything. Like I love, you know, I'm very curious about the creators. Like I want to know what they've been doing and why they want to do this and what drew them to this project. And clearly because, you know, the music was created by David Byrne and Fatboy Slim, the DJ of that duo is Fatboy Slim. So I looked into Fatboy Slim and, you know, just watched a lot of his videos and watched what he does at concerts. um Man, that world is so cool. just getting thousands of people to dance at one time is like just so epic, right? And there was something in an interview between them uh that really struck me, which is that, you know, a really great DJ can take you on a journey. It's almost its own storytelling, avenue where you can set up your playlist and your set so that you are emotionally guiding a group of people, hundreds, thousands of people through an experience in a night. And
Mhm.
I think that that's how I envision myself in this role. That's what I'm doing, even though I'm not technically doing anything. I'm like not DJing actually,
Yeah.
but for me, um, starting from pre-show when I get out there and I'm like feeling the crowd, I am imagining that I am feeling out this group of people tonight and what they're going to want to hear. And then kind of adjusting to what they want to, how they're feeling so that they fall in line with what I want them to, what want them to feel. And I feel like I tug on that thread throughout the show. I just keep on doing that, that this is part of that arc of this is my set, you are in my club, and this is my world. I'm the dictator of this dance club of Club Millennium. And you know, uh, metatheatrically it kind of works because we're talking about somebody who became a dictator. And so metatheatrically, I am the dictator of this place. um yeah, so I think of it that way. That's kind of my through line arc of the role.
Yeah, no, I thought I like thinking about it when I saw the show and after the show, and I was like, oh, I see exactly what you and what the in the story and in in the what limited um lines there are in the show that aren't singing. It's like, okay, you see the full meaning of what everything is actually trying to say, and you saying the whole thing about the like double, I guess, dictators in the club and in Imelda and Ferdinand Marcos. It's like,
Yeah,
of course, like that's of course how you would tell this story in a club with a DJ who's trying to tell you first of all his story, but also present it in a way that maybe you didn't think was the way that you would tell it.
yeah,
And just that journey too of like, some people are like, why is it about them or why, but it all fits really beautifully together,
yeah,
um and cohesively, and like once you see the show then you really understand what it means to first of all the people doing it, what it means in Filipino history, because I
yeah.
didn't know anything. I mean, I'm Taiwanese
Oh,
American. I know a lot of other Filipino people, and I've
yeah,
always grown up talking to them and like eating the Filipino food, but the history is never the thing that's brought up for some,
yeah,
in that, either whether it be because it's painful or because it's just, you wouldn't talk about that in like a just a casual setting.
sure, yeah,
It hurts for a lot of people. um, I mean, for you, you knew all the history going into it,
mm,
like because you had gone to the Philippines so much, and that's a part of your history.
yeah.
Uh, Again, I just think it's such an incredible show and how it does that for everyone, where
Thanks.
people really leave thinking, which are my favorite kind of shows to
Mhm.
experience. Because I've heard some people talk about Here Lies Love as a big party, and I'm like, okay, maybe you haven't seen the show yet, or haven't,
Mm,
like it is, but it also isn't, because it takes you on a journey and it really is a transformative um experience. And
yeah.
so yeah, just thank you for your performance, I guess, and the show. And
Well, thanks.
I mean, I did not expect any of that going in, but leaving, then you're just changed forever. Um, and for you to make your Broadway debut in this show is pretty special in a
Pretty cool.
show playing a Filipino role. Like, what
I
did it
know.
feel like for you on, on your first day of previews or on your opening night to be standing on that stage and just again in a room of 1,100 people?
Yeah.
Um, so what did it feel like for you to make your Broadway debut?
Um, it was amazing. I'm not gonna hide that. It was incredible. I think that, you know, uh, as an Asian man who's an actor, I mostly don't play Filipino characters, you know? Our stories are not often talked about because I don't know, that's just not, it wasn't something available to me. I think the last Filipino role I played was about 10, 11 years ago. Um, in a full production, I've done readings here and there, but even then, few and far between. And so to tell this story with about an important part of our history, and it to be with this all Filipino cast who are just the most lovely people. Everybody, I we all love each other a lot. It's pretty obvious and palpable, when we're together. And um then to have the support of these amazing producers and our creative team, who is just such a stellar creative team, done so much for Broadway and on Broadway and for music in general. And then on top of that, opening night with some iconic Filipino entertainers too, to be there, with Joe Coy being in the house and her being in the house. Like, it was like what I couldn't have asked for a better uh debut. And in this role too, to be coming back to New York and playing this specific role, um because I love it so much. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it every single time. um it's it's amazing. It's amazing. And I also feel like the moment was never felt too big for me. um that all those years of working in regional theater and off Broadway, uh and the experiences I've had with all the amazing artists that I've had the honor of working with in my career, um have led to this. And it's pretty cool, and I'm so humbled and grateful for the opportunity.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you only make your Broadway debut once, and for it to be in such a special show like Here Lies Love, that is really everything you could always, ever ask
Yeah,
for,
yeah,
in an experience like that. To have, like you said, Joe Coy, who is like, so many people know and love him, and he's bringing probably
yeah,
people to the show, and her, and the community that's really being formed there too is like everyone's kind of realizing what it is, and being taken in into the story, and then want to come back forever. Um,
yeah.
and like you
Totally.
said, I mean, I think you mentioned the punch card idea. I've been mentioning that a lot. I'm like, we gotta talk
Yeah,
about
that's a
this
good
team. So I'm
idea.
like, make people, it'll make people want to come back.
Right, see it from every
Getting
angle and get a
yeah,
punch, and then you get,
yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe you get a bucket hat or something, or
Yeah,
something, I don't know.
yeah. You sit on the good floor, both the sides, like the VIP lounge,
Right,
as Virmez, like experience.
right.
And then I wanted to talk about your tattoos, the tattoo process, what that is like, because there was somebody, I don't remember their name specifically, but who's designing it. I'm sure you could say who they are, and
Yeah,
designing the tattoos, and
yeah,
obviously you did not actually get all of those tattoos. Um,
yeah,
so like talk about what it's like and how often you have to, I guess, apply them, if it
yeah,
lasts, just
totally.
all about the cool DJ tattoos.
But yeah, I have zero tattoos in
Me
real life.
too.
I don't know, it just never, like, became a thing that I wanted to do. Um, but so Suki Sujimoto is our makeup designer, and I forget exactly when, but it was maybe a week or 2 weeks into tech the tech process, and she was starting to think about what she wanted to do, um a bit more concretely. And so she says, what do you think about neck tattoos? And I thought, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's try it out. And so for a while, we were trying out different neck tattoos of different colors and, like, different placements on my neck. And she was really cool about, like, letting me have some input into it too. And so she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to start designing stuff. Are there any things that you were interested in?" And I said that, I really love this idea of a Filipino, like the rising sun, the sun here, with the stars around it. I've seen it on Joe Coy's wrists. Um, and it's like my nod to Joe Coy is having that, because he has one that I think that like goes, that's kind of peeks out of his sleeve sometimes. Um, I said that would be kind of cool coming out from here from my neck. I don't have it on right now because I just washed it off. But yeah, so she included that. I have one here. I also have this sun here, which is pretty cool. Most people love that because of its placement and the way that it looks. It's so clean. And then like I think maybe 2 weeks after we started introducing tattoos, uh, we may have been in previews already. I thought, it's kind of interesting that I wouldn't have any other tattoos aside from my neck. I feel like, what if we have a hand tattoo? And so, and Suki has like all kinds of tattoos. She has this great like web all over her hand, and that was part of the inspiration was, that looks really cool.
Mhm.
And I think that would be interesting to show on camera when I'm holding a mic or when I'm playing the guitar, to have my right hand, my strumming hand, to be tattooed. Um, and so it's like, hand tattoo, let's do that. And so she went for it. She went for it. Little did I know that I would have to shave my hands in order to place the tattoo. So I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? I have to shave my hands now. So yeah, I'm not that hairy, but I have hairy hands, I guess.
I guess it
And
needs like to stick. They need
yeah,
to
yeah,
stick.
exactly. Otherwise, it won't stick well. And they last, they take a while to put on. They're like, it's like 30 minutes to put them on. Um, and they last about, I'd say, 2 shows.
He shows.
Like every other day, I have to put them on.
No, I think I saw you did like a time lapse or something of putting them all. I'm like, that's a long process of just
Yeah,
these tattoos. Uh,
yeah,
just putting it on every night or every other night. It's just I just thought it was so cool, first of all, because like you come out, you still have it at the stage door, obviously, and no one would ever know that they weren't real.
I know.
Just look at you and you're like, yeah, of course, like it's cool neck tattoos and cool hand tattoos,
Right.
and
Yeah,
one on your ear is also very cool. Um,
right.
and yeah, I was just so interested about the process of that because you don't see many tattoos on Broadway, like or that many. It's like more of
Yeah.
a specific
It's
thing.
like usually like a subtle thing, but the neck
Yeah,
is so prominent. And I know that, when I'm on camera, like the IMAG for the projections, it's very visible, right? Because it's
yeah.
just right there, it's all over my neck. And a lot of the inspiration is from the show. Like, I have an 11 here for 11 days, and I have Santo Nino on this side, and
Mhm.
um these are two roses on this side.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. Yeah, no, that's so cool too because it's like all these little nods to the show and you
yeah,
don't know if you would like, ask you about it. Um,
right.
you don't like really notice it at first if you're just looking, but um and yeah, what is it like for you to like go out there for the pre-show and kind of just feel out the crowd? And people are probably taking pictures, videos of you and like
Oh my God, there's so many
so
photos of me during that
I
time.
know I did it because I was like, oh my gosh, Moses looks so cool. That's like I just because you
Yeah.
said, feeling out the crowd, it's a different crowd every single night, obviously.
Mm.
And it's a different energy every night, whether it be on a Wednesday or a Sunday. So just
Yeah.
how does it feel to like at least have that ability to kind of feel out the crowd and see what it's like every night?
I love it. I really love it. I like to call myself extroverted introvert. Uh
Just me.
yeah, I definitely like my alone time, like being, putzing around, doing my own thing for a little while and creating stuff. But um like when I'm at a concert, I love being in the middle.
Mm,
Like I want to be on the floor in the middle of all the action.
mhm.
Uh, and so to be able to get out there before anybody else does, like, me being the first person that people see as like a cast member, because I'm clearly wearing a mic and all that stuff. Um, I enjoy it. I really thrive on it. I really I don't know. I just love being around people. And so um yeah, it's really cool to get out there, take a look at the dance floor, see how many people have already showed up. There are about, I'd say, 10 seats to my left
Mhm.
in the kind of floor side seating that where I can talk to them. A lot of times they ask me to take a selfie with them, or a lot of times they want to shake my hand or fist bump me or something. It's pretty funny. Um, but a lot of times people in the mezzanine will take photos of me and like call out my name, say, "Hey DJ, turn around," and they come take a photo of me. Yeah, there are lots of pictures of me from that pre-show stuff. Um, and then something that we added uh like not long before opening, was I go down and talk to the VIP room. So I
Mm.
go down to the VIP room and the lounge and um just go talk to them for a little bit and just introduce myself and let them know that they're here for a good time and kind of get the lay of the land and give them the lay of the land. Yeah.
Well, also, I think
Uh,
it helps because they can't really see you, like, from where they're sitting at, like,
exactly.
can't actually
Yeah.
so that's, like that's really great that you go and obviously, I had no idea because I didn't sit down there, but,
Yeah.
um, that is so cool. Yeah, no,
It's
sorry,
fun.
keep going.
No, it's fun. It's fun. So I feel like before the show even starts, I get to personally connect with almost every section of our audience. People on the floor side I get to talk to, definitely people in the mezz I get to look at, and they take a lot of pictures of me. And then definitely a lot of people on the dance floor, once the music gets going, and every now and then, I'd say every other show, there's like a rambunctious group who just start like bopping and really want to groove to the music in a loud way, and I love that. I love it. It's like, yeah, let's go, let's party, let's you always want those audience members who are willing to stir the pot because that just gets everybody going.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's so much fun. Like, I love how so many Broadway shows are introducing like a little pre-show just to kind of get you immersed in that world. Um,
Mhm.
whether you get to talk to them. I know they do that at and Juliet, I think, where they get to like one
Mm.
of them gets to talk to the audience
Oh,
members,
that's
which
cool.
is so unique. I'm like, that's really nowhere else but those few
Yeah.
select shows and the fact that they allow taking pictures, and it's fun because everyone feels like they're a part of it.
Yeah.
um, and again gets you immersed in this already immersive show.
Yeah.
uh, and this is more of just a fun question, but do you have a favorite Filipino food right now? Because I know there's so many and there's so many good ones, but like for
Yeah.
me right now, I love like the Filipino grilled pork belly with rice. Like that is like my thing right now because there's like a place in Bakersfield that I always like to get it from.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What
Awesome.
is your favorite? Just because it's so hard to choose, right?
There's so many, and because the flavors are like the Philippines, such a mix of different cultures, you know. Um, I don't know. Right now, I've always just been craving something really bright. So I love sinigang. I like want sinigang, like the brothy tamarind, like brightness, almost a stew with like a bowl of white rice. And it's almost like a good, like more sour pho,
Yeah.
um, without the noodles, but rice. Um, yeah, it's so good. Gosh, you're making me hungry right now.
I'm sorry. No. Yeah, Filipino food. I can't get enough of it. It's so the flavors
Yeah,
are so good. I think
so many good
growing up
flavors.
with it, a little bit, even not being Filipino, it's made me appreciate it so much whenever I can
Mm.
have it. It's just like that, and it also that always brings people together. Have those Filipino parties with those giant lechon in the middle.
Oh my God, I'm surprised we didn't have a lechon. The amount of food that's been served during this process. Actually, no, we did have lechon it was like a community event after the
Oh
show.
my gosh.
The Philam Arts organization came through a couple weeks ago, and we went to a karaoke bar, and there was lechon. That's right, yeah.
And someone needs to get a lechon inside the Broadway theater at one point.
Fully immersed, like smells too, odor
It'll
of
probably be like the
walking.
first time one of the like Lechon has been inside a Broadway theater. I'm like, someone's got to do that at some point because that's
Right.
just too important to not. Since I know you guys
Totally.
have had so much food, I think Tim was telling me how you guys have like Tupperware or just so you could take it home or just enjoy it.
We are
Um,
well fed.
yeah, no, that's what he was saying too. Like all the other cast members are saying how well fed this Broadway company is.
Yeah, totally.
And just
Absolutely.
how great that is because again, that's community. That's how Asian people, whether you're Filipino, Chinese, Taiwanese, whatever, that's
Yeah.
how we all
So
kind of
true.
come together. And it again, it's another like meaning of the show is just the show's bringing people together, like how food does.
Absolutely.
And are there any stage door like experiences or meetings that have really
Hmm.
stuck out for you since that is such a fun thing and I love how most of the cast um comes out because that doesn't, it's we're getting back into that stage door fun of how
Yeah.
everyone can come out and really connect with the
Yeah.
performers after the show.
Yeah. I mean, celebrities have come to the show a lot. We had Andre de Shields last night, which was pretty cool. He came and took a photo with us. I had an awesome experience with Michaela Cole the other day where, she was just like gushing over the show and yeah, she just loved it. And there are those moments, but my favorite has to be um meeting the Filipinos who come to the show and who really want to stick around and say hello and thank us for being part of this company and for it's almost like they want to thank us for doing a good job, for excelling in what we do so that they can be proud of being Filipino.
Mhm.
And I think that that's probably the most touching and inspiring parts of the stage door experience, is folks that I never imagined being part of an audience, a theater audience, let alone a Broadway audience, um, are there and they're waiting, like waiting for 20 minutes just to say hello and get a quick picture or an autograph. It's really touching to see that community.
Yeah, it's probably the first of all, most Asian and, most Filipino stage door I've ever experienced, which again is so special because that's the people we're trying to reach with shows like Here Lies Love, is we're trying to directly talk, the show's trying to reach the actual Filipino people.
Yeah,
Um, and the fact that they're showing up is so cool because
that's really cool.
it's unique, to have
Yeah,
yourself really represented on Broadway for Filipinos. That's never happened before with but with the cast and all that it means to
yeah,
everyone.
and they're coming from everywhere. I met
Yeah.
folks who drove 9 hours from Toronto.
Like,
uh was it Toronto? 9 hours. And folks who came from Vancouver, and then I met a woman the other day. She brought her family from Davao City, from the Philippines. She came from the Philippines just to see the show. Like that was a main point of their trip, was to see Here Lies Love. It's it's an honor. Yeah.
no, definitely. And for you specifically, what do you hope people learn from Here Lies Love?
That, especially now, we're so inundated with media and our this kind of influencer culture, I think, is a big part of that, especially with younger folks who are on Instagram. But even like the older generations who are mostly on Facebook, I think, and Twitter or whatever, right? Like it's so easy to get swayed by misinformation and by glamorous things, by the glitz of it all, and um the eye candy and stuff like that. I hope that people take away from it that democracy is fragile and that a curiosity about what is actually behind these images that are being pushed out to us through advertising, through propaganda and political entities, that we really really look for solid journalism, like look for good truthful journalists who are telling the stories of the world. Like democracy is fragile. We just had a presidential candidate in oh gosh, what country was that, who was assassinated recently. That it's not something to be taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that all that you said, there's so much to be taken from the show. And the fact that it's being able to be told is just the most important thing is just that exposure. Uh,
Hmm.
and to just really think about like really all the things that we're influenced by in the real world. I mean, I know I'm on Instagram all the time doing stuff and trying to be, make a positive impact
Sure.
with media because
Yep.
there's some, it's not a good or a bad thing. It's like there's so much middle ground. So to be
Yeah.
reminded of that every day
Mhm.
is definitely important.
Yeah, there's a responsibility to it. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
definitely. And what does it feel like for you to be in a room? I know you said you had played, Filipino roles occasionally, which is amazing that this is not like your first time playing Filipino because I know for so many in the cast that is the case. But
Yeah.
what was it like to finally portray your ethnicity, your heritage, and be in a room full of other Filipinos as well, playing themselves in whether it be rehearsal or when you
Yeah.
actually started the show?
Oh gosh, it's amazing. I mean, it's like any other room that I enter where it's all Filipino. It's just your shoulders relax a little bit, they drop, and you can bring your whole self a little bit more. Not that I'm not bringing my whole self always, but there's definitely kind of a translation that I think, or code switching that we do when we're around other people, right? But with Filipinos, like we know we have this shorthand, we have a shared history, we understand, things that our parents did, and we can relate to those stories, and we can joke in different ways. So it just feels wonderful to, you know, kind of feel completely at ease in my own skin as a brown Asian man.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact that Here Lies Love is creating that space for you and everyone else to feel so comfortable and so taken care of because theater is definitely a space where sometimes you feel a little bit strange if you're a little different than everyone else. And to have that, those kinds of casts being presented now where it's like
Yeah.
here all Filipino. It's the first time Here Lies Love has been done with an all Filipino cast too. It started out probably with there's Korean, Chinese
Yeah.
people playing Filipino.
Right.
Now it's like okay, this is the important part of the show because we're telling it its history. So just like I'm so happy. I remember when I didn't know anything about the show, but I read like all Filipino cast. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's never been done before. And
Yeah. I
again,
think that's the other thing I hope people get from this show is that Filipinos make great entertainers. So I hope that that's another thing that people take away from it is that we can
yeah.
also make sense.
You think of Filipino people, you're like, they can sing, they have great food, they're such great people to be around. There's like, it's so many positive things to be said. And what is your advice for young Filipino or just Asian people who want to pursue performing, pursue acting or musical
Mhm.
theater?
Um, we all get into this because there was something about performing that we loved, right? It's not a career that you choose unless you really love it because it can be hard. It can be really challenging. Sure, you can get lucky, or if you're extremely, good looking, and there's like a different avenue for you in that way. But for the majority of people, and this is, I think, true for other Asian actors that I know, and I've had the experience of teaching actors too. Um, find like hang on to that thing that really made you excited about performance, um, and keep cultivating that, whatever that is. Maybe it's not even directly related to acting, but theater is evolving,
Mhm.
and you never know when your skills kind of line up with that evolution. um and I'm only speaking from my experience, but at this point, because my entry into performance, like my very first like thing was playing music. I was in a band when I was 13, and I loved it. I loved being on stage in that capacity, playing the drums and then play guitar and singing with the guitar. Like that was my favorite thing. And that's how I learned about being a performer. Um, and then acting came along later, musical theater came along later. You know, uh, but I've always held on to that thing. Like I've always held on to whenever a director asks, "Does anybody play the guitar in the cast? Because we need a guitarist." I would raise my hand immediately because I enjoyed it. Um, and I feel like I've kind of made a career out of that. Was playing, guitar in a number of shows now. Um, so that's what I would say is just cultivate that, whatever that thing that kind of got you interested in it, just keep doing that and um, find your community.
Mhm.
When I first moved to New York, that I told myself that like theater for me, I grew up going to church. And so theater for me was like church. And so I wanted to find my church, and I found that with this really great Asian American theater company called My Theater.
Yeah, I love
And yeah, so I found my community there by just doing anything for free. If they would have me, I would be there. And I did it. And I just kept being, I just was around. Some of those relationships that I formed during that first year in New York, I still have a
Mhm.
lot of them, who are now like doing wonderful things in their own careers. But I met a lot of them in that first year of just being around my Yi. Like that was my church. I want to show up at that church and be part of that.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's true. That's been true through other places that I've been to, just find your community. Find the people who want to tell the stories that you're interested in telling, and see if they want to jam with you. Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, Mai is doing so much great work for the Asian community. I mean, obviously over in LA, there's East West players are always doing
Mhm.
great things. I mean, I grew up going to shows there too. It's like having those communities is so important. Um, and just that feeling of like seeing people that that you would that look like your family members or
Yeah.
different thing on stage is such a unique experience. Um, and really like the thing, that kids need to see now because it'll change their life. You
It
know,
could. It
it
really
started changing,
could.
it started changing mine when I was first getting into theater and, liking shows. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see there's some people in here like me,
Right.
that I
It's
can.
so true. Yeah, I'll tell you a quick thing is like Jose Alana was one of those people for me.
Mhm.
And I tell this story, I think often enough where it embarrasses him, but like, I was in school and I went to go see, it was my first trip to New York, and I had no idea that there were any Asians on Broadway or anything like that. I didn't even know what it was about. So it was one of my first Broadway shows, and it was a Putnam County Spelling Bee. And I saw him and I was like, who's this Filipino guy in this Broadway musical? That's kind of amazing. And so I left that trip really thinking, oh my God, I could do this. I could be on Broadway. If that guy could do it, I could do it, you
Mhm.
know? Um, and so here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I mean, there's gonna be so many Filipino kids and just people watching, you now and being like, oh, okay, I can do this now too. It's like you give that experience to the next generation so that they can feel loved and feel accepted and feel like they belong because
Yeah.
missing so much of that right now. And Here Lies Love is definitely doing that for so many people.
Yeah.
Um, and to kind of, last question, like what does representation mean to you?
Well, I think a big part of it is what you just talked about, that seeing yourself on stage in a fully embodied character um, is very meaningful. Um, like representation in general, right? Why do we go see plays? Why do we go watch these? Why do we sit in a dark room to watch people tell stories? It's so I grappled with that for the first number of years of my kind of like wanting to be an actor. It's like, yeah, I want to be an actor because it's fun. But then why do we tell stories? Is one thing that really stuck with me is this quote by Anne Carson, which is that, we want to go into the depths of our humanity and our experience. We want to experience that stuff as audience members, as people, right? Then who better to do it than an actor? Aren't they there? You almost sacrifice them to take you on a journey of experience so that you can understand yourself a little bit better. And so we do that for, all kinds of people. And to have a Filipino go through that experience and having, as an audience member, as a Filipino audience member, or even an Asian audience member, to see other Filipinos or Asians going through these experiences in a fully, fleshed out character, um, it's just so impactful because you feel like you're having that cleansing experience, that that human connection with others who look like you.
Hmm. Yeah, very well said. Thank you so much. And just to wrap it up, like, how can everyone support you, whether it be on social media or just in other projects that you're working on? Just,
Sure.
this is kind of like a little plug for you, whatever you want to say. Um, and just how
Yeah,
can we continue to support you and your work, because you're doing such great work, whether it be on Broadway and
thanks.
just really in all of your projects that you've done.
Thanks. Come see the show. Come see Here Lies Love. I know that there are different ways to find tickets. There's a lottery, there's rush tickets and all that stuff if you can't afford but if you can afford a full price ticket, please come also. But you can find me on Instagram, and that's where I usually am. I'm the Mighty Mose. And I'm sure you'll tag it on your
Oh yeah,
your
of
uh,
course. Yeah, link
your
it,
post.
all the things.
Cool. Yeah. And that's really where you can find me. That's where I kind of share most of the things that I'm doing and do most of my promotion these days is on Instagram and social media. Um, but if you have the time and, to shout out some of my fellow islanders, if you're interested in taking a look at what's happening in Hawaii right now, really go visit pages like the Red Cross for Maui, and donate if you can. I think that our fellow islanders and Americans need some help out there.
Yeah, I know definitely. It's so hard right now just to see that happening, especially since I've been there, and um just wanting to help as much. So yeah, thank you for saying that. And yeah, we'll continue to support you, try to help everything. See the show, definitely. Like Moses said, you got to see it from every angle.
Get that punch card.
Yeah, no. Seriously, gotta email those PR, like those marketing teams. I mean, like, let's do it. It would be such a
Yeah,
great idea.
like
Um,
it.
yeah, and thank you so much, Moses, for being on the podcast. So thankful that we were able to have this conversation today and just really talk about a show that means so much to
Thanks.
so many people. And yeah, everyone make sure to follow him on Instagram and really anything, and go see Here Lies Love, because it is my favorite show currently on Broadway.
Oh, cool.
I saw it twice in the same week, and if you go, you'll never be the same after you leave. It'll change your entire life. So make sure you go
Awesome.
see it. Go see Moses as the DJ. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Broadway Corner with Ashley Haw. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.